Good morning, President Hakainde Hichilema, the President of Africa, Ibrahim Traoré. I want to believe that my talking, as people react, that it's a sign of madness, it's a sign of mental illness. I believe even my master, Jesus Christ, was actually accused of being a person who is a demon possessed. What makes truth to be truth is the amount of opposition that it is faced with. When you see people praising you all around, you must know that what you are saying is not truth. I want to say that regardless of who you are, whatever you see, whatever you say, if you find that you have applauses all along, yeah, that is good, that is good, that is good, you must know that you are telling them a lie. Truth divides. Truth calls for hatred. I'm hated not because I hate President Hakainde Hichilema, or I flee from President Sata, not because I hated Sata, or not because I was his enemy or against him. I was arrested under the second President Chiluba, before President Sata became president, because of telling the truth. Truth can only be identified by the amount of resistance that is coming from the people you want to save. The open letter to President Hakainde Hichilema is out of God's love, not to hurt feelings, not to discredit his leadership, but to only review that his leadership, which is supported by the Pope, as I wrote the 1,000 evidences of fulfilled prophecies, showing the picture of President Hakainde Hichilema holding hands with Pope Francis in a fulfilled visions of 1990 and 1997, where I saw the Pope beckoning people to vote for the UPND symbol of an open palm government. So when you read this here, I wrote in the rescue operation airport trap, volume, that is volume 1, page 7, 2000 edition. I said, I was only shown a symbol of an open palm, but the system that will stretch its hand to join hands with the Pope in order to accomplish globalization is what matters. So in this case, when I'm writing this, when I was writing this statement, I didn't even understand what is the politics in America. I didn't even understand even the politics in Zambia. But God gave me an understanding in advance, because the UPND, at that particular point, 2001, when I was establishing this, they were far from Hakainde Hichilema. Hakainde Hichilema was not even a subject of discussion in the UPND. Hakainde Hichilema only became a president in 2011. That is how many years later? In 2021, I mean. How many years later? We are talking of 20 years when I published this book, volume 1. So why does God speak to me when he has no solution to this country's predicament. Zambia is at crossroad because it is housing the AFRICOM, a military base for America. America has no good intention for Africa. Because if it had a good intention for Africa, it was not going to colonize us, but it was going to give us freedom to utilize our resources by buying them from us as finished project. Not bringing multi-party to privatize all government companies and say that we need private investors. When they talk about private investors, they know that there's no Zambian who can invest in a mine because they don't have those resources. Those resources were removed from us. I remember we had a fertilizer producing company in Kafue under Dr. Kenneth Kaunda, the first president. Immediately when Dr. Kenneth Kaunda was voted out of power, all the machinery disappeared. Immediately when Dr. Kaunda left power, the machinery in Kapiri Posh, which was used to produce brokables, the cups and so forth and plates, everything stopped, closed down. The Minilunga production of pineapples to produce our own drinks that were Tarino and so forth, they were all closed down because the investors had to sell what is called Coca-Cola from UK. Imagine if you talk about independence, what independence are you talking about? We cannot produce anything unless they give us what to produce and for their benefits. And you claim to say, no, there is peace. Ibrahim Traoré is a dictator. For someone to call Ibrahim Traoré is a dictator is a mouthpiece of the colonial masters' education, which is called free education. There's no free education. The education that Hakainde Hichilema is promoting is the education which is making our mental capability to fail to see how they are mistreating us, how they are raising us to misunderstand each other, how they are making us to fight one another, how they don't want anyone to speak the truth. I wrote these 1,000 evidences for you, Hakainde Hichilema. Perhaps I wanted to call you doctor because all the presidents, even if they are not doctors, they become doctors because of political manipulation. So I want to say that these 100 evidences based on the 3 books that I wrote. The first volume, The Apple Trap. The second volume, Open Letter to Dr. Levi Mwanawasa. And the Pigpen Predicament. Obama's Pigpen Predicament. This is the predicament which I was talking about. Africa right now, all news, even in Zambia, people are fearing to die of HIV/AIDS because Donald Trump has withdrawn AIDS. I've written about HIV/AIDS in this book. Have it. Ask anyone from UPND in those times that before they formed the government. I sold these books to them. But those that I gave to Hakainde Hichilema and to other presidents and opposition leaders, I was giving them for free. I wrote about America being behind the HIV production. So don't think that the sickness that are being experienced here in Africa, in America, there's no HIV counseling center. Why? If this HIV center is for everyone, if HIV disease is for everyone, one who is sick of HIV goes that side will be healed. A doctor here in Africa, when a doctor has medicine to cure HIV, he will disappear, they'll kill him. Because they don't want anyone to do what? To do. The same applies with COVID-19. What is COVID-19? Flu. We are told it is dangerous. Can you put mask? Can you do this? Businesses must be closed down. It is because of political manipulation. There's nothing like COVID-19. It's a creation of some kind to control us. What about load shedding? Most of the hours, there's no load shedding. For example, during campaigns, when you talk about President Ramaphosa towards the election, there was no load shedding, complete shedding until the elections were done. But immediately after the elections are over, load shedding starts coming. So which means these things are just enforced. These things are meant to control us. But my appeal to President Hakainde Hichilema and my appeal to every president to read these books, I just summed up 1,000 evidences from these 3 books to showcase that God can speak to politicians, that God can tell us the future, that God is available to give us a roadmap to economical freedom. And Taurai, whatever the pronunciation, but when you know that I said Taurai, it's maybe my Shona, my mother tongue, the pronunciation. I'm not English, I'm not Spanish, I'm not whatsoever. But I'm not here to correct my spellings or my language. English is also not my language. So I want to appeal to everyone that my call for support of Ibrahim Traoré is a solution to all the prophecies that were pointing to the fulfillment of the partnership between the church and the state, between Hakainde Hichilema and the Vatican. When God gave me these visions, I was asking myself, how are we going to come out of this economical slavery? God has raised Ibrahim as the Joseph, Ibrahim as Moses, Ibrahim as a good Samaritan who never knew about the God we know as Christians, but knows Allah as the creator. So I want to tell you to say, he is the captain of this roadmap. And every African leader who shall read these books, who have already read this book, must stand up and raise and call for him to be laid under this revolutionary. Because when you take up this revolutionary alone, without Russia, who is a big merchant, a buyer of gold and whatsoever, copper and so forth, you are going to find it difficult. You are going to remain under slavery forever. So, and this slavery will be killed one by one by these people who are giving you aid today. They give you aid in order to feed you chemically modified food. May God be with you, and may God make you understand and take advice from these fulfilled visions are an evidence of God speaking through me. And therefore, I'm directing this message to you all to listen to God and save your countries from economical slavery. May God bless you. Amen.